Entitled People.
My grandmother thinks she's entitled to controlling my life. Entitled grandmother thinks she can control my life, and I'm dreading telling her that I want to move in with my boyfriend of 6 years for fear of the coming guilt trip. To start off, I, 27F, have lived with my gran, 77F, all my life. She raised my older brother and I, and for that, I am eternally grateful. However, even though I love her, I have to admit that my gran has always been extremely entitled, controlling, and even manipulative, mostly regarding my life in particular. I still live at home, and I act as her caretaker, as well as helping out my autistic brother. And, because someone has made the accusation before, and no, that doesn't mean I'm just mooching off of her. I actually take care of her. I cook her meals, I clean up for her, I help her bathe, do her hair, and get dressed. I help her get to the bathroom and clean up after. I help her sort out her meds. I run errands and do the shopping, as I'm the only one who can drive. I help her get to appointments. I push her wheelchair whenever she's in it, and I do anything and everything else she needs. I have been doing most of these things since I was still in high school. Yes, she pays for everything, but that's only because she hasn't allowed me to get a job in almost 8 years, always telling me things like, "What if you were at work? But I really needed you," among other things. And even when I had a job, she took all but a fraction of every paycheck to put towards bills, which I was fine with at the time because I felt like it was only fair to pay my share since I finally had an income. Every time I bring up looking for a job now, she has a million reasons to keep me from doing so. Most recently, though, she's taken to hating my boyfriend, 24M, of 6 years, for pretty much no real reason besides for dating me. She talks shit about him constantly, calling him useless and good for nothing, insulting him behind his back on an almost daily basis, even though he's bent over backwards to help me out in many situations. She makes comments like, "He must not love you very much since he never comes around." But then she pitches a fit every time he asks me on a date, and the only time she ever wants him coming to our house is when she can exploit him, like roping him into moving furniture or cleaning out the garage. She makes backhanded remarks about how we've been together for 6 years but he's never proposed, but then raises hell if I spend more than a couple of hours with him on a date. She's even told me, "You know, I'd like for you to give me a great-grandchild sometime before I die," but she loses her mind if my boyfriend even so much as kisses me anywhere near her. My boyfriend is the sweetest, kindest, most hardworking guy I've ever known, and he treats me better than anyone in my life ever has. He even has a great job and makes a decent living, owns his own home and car, and is very good with his finances. But she still has to nitpick every little thing about him to try and turn me against him. She even talks shit about his family, mother and brother, even though they also treat me extremely well. And no matter how much I defend any of them, she won't stop. This kind of came to a head the other night. For context, we've just been informed by our landlord that come June 2023, he's selling the house we're renting, so unless we can come up with $30,000 to buy it from him, we'll have to move. That's a whole different can of worms in and of itself, but what floored me was that, a few nights ago, my gran went from insulting my boyfriend's hair, he's been growing it out, to "maybe we should move to state that's 2 states away so you can get away from him," in the same breath. And no, she wasn't joking. I've been with him 6 years, but she wants me to move away from him because she hates him. Now, as far as us possibly having to move out in a year, she 100% assumes that I most definitely have to move with her and my brother to keep taking care of them, no exceptions. My boyfriend and I are already talking about sitting down with her to discuss my moving in with him instead, and I'm dreading that discussion, because I know it won't go well. All she's done for years is depend on me to the point that she actively refuses outside help because Bunny can just do it. She refuses to move to a retirement or assisted living home, and, to make things worse, she's already decided that, after she's gone, I will be taking over full care of my brother, without even considering what I want to do with my life. I just know she's going to go postal and lay on a massive guilt trip when I finally tell her I want to move out entirely, but I want to get on with my own life. I'm tired of my gran thinking she's entitled to my life. I'm sorry I don't have a conclusion for this right now. I'll try to post an update when we finally talk to her. Any advice for that conversation is welcome. I'll need all the help I can get. Edit, I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support and advice. It feels so good to have so many people in my corner for once. Update. For the context of my situation, you can find my original post here. To sum it up, my gran raised me and still controls my life, but now I'm 27 and ready to move out. Now for the update. I've come to the decision that I'm moving out by the end of summer, at the very latest. I haven't told Gran yet, but I will sometime in the next couple weeks, after I've made a few more preparations. My boyfriend and his family are behind me no matter what she says or does, and I'm fully prepared to dispute any guilt trip she might throw at me over my decision. I wanted to say thank you to the people who left supportive comments and advice on my original post. I can't even express how good it feels to have so many people on my side. If any of you are reading this, please know that I'm taking your advice to heart, and doing what I can to be prepared for the move. I'll make another update after I've finally told Gran, if anyone's interested. Wish me luck. Entitled neighbor helps herself to my garden. Well, I should have known that no good deed goes unpunished. We have a small vegetable and herb garden in the corner of our yard. Two neighbors have the ability and my permission to reach over the fence and snip off any herbs they need. We always grow much more than we can use. One neighbor has been doing it for years with no problems. He takes a sprig or two a few times a week and always asks if he needs more than usual. He repays me in beautiful roses, but I would have no problem with not getting them in return. The other neighbor never cooked, so he never took any. Now he has a new GF and she happened to introduce herself while I was planting the herbs, so I offered her some once it has a chance to grow a bit. So, of course, 2 weeks after I planted, she snips off all but a few leaves off of every fucking herb. 2 weeks. I was livid. My BF went over and explained that it was too soon, the plants were tiny, not ready, etc. He's much nicer than I am. The neighbor apologized profusely and said the GF wouldn't be going anywhere near the herbs until I specifically allow it. A week later I catch this dumbass out there with a pair of scissors, but it's only been a week and there's nothing to fucking snip out there yet. Apparently, she can't make meatballs without parsley and the grocery store within walking distance is too far to go. One of my plants has 3 leaves on it. Seriously. The other neighbor doesn't dare take anything before mid-July. Certainly he would never touch anything before I did. We looked at each other for a few seconds and then I just said, "Please get your herbs at the store from now on." I can't believe I managed to think of that. Usually I think of a great comeback 10 minutes after the fact. She turned bright red and went in the house. Hopefully she embarrassed herself enough to stay away. I don't want to have problems with this neighbor. He's nice and quiet and doesn't bother anyone. Tomorrow it will be a week since I caught her again. We'll see what happens. Update. Just got home and had a chat with the nice neighbor, who told me that the oversnipper and her BF had some kind of disagreement a few days ago and he looked like he was sick of her shit. He hasn't seen her car since. Yes, he's old and nosy. He also plans to buy some parsley and basil seedlings to put on his side of the fence out of her reach. I gave him some pots and cinder blocks to put them on. You can't really see them from the other neighbor's yard unless you crane your neck, so that should work. With any luck, I will not be posting about her climbing into his yard through mine in the near future.